And welcome to the Wise Guys Sports Podcast on this Monday, December the 8th. Sitting in the house with your boy Trey Larkins on the Wise Guys Sports Show. Everybody remember to go and follow the Wise Guys on Twitter at WiseGuys_H, also on Facebook, Wise Guys. And be sure to follow Wise Guys on Instagram at These Guys Know Sports. Got some huge topics I'm going to discuss in the NFL. Bears, Packers, Bengals, Bills, and Titans, Browns. I want to talk about Shedeur Sanders and his performance against the Titans yesterday in Cleveland for the Browns as well. Comment on the video. Give me your thoughts on NFL Week 14. I know right now the Eagles and the Chargers are playing in Monday Night Football. Chargers lead the Eagles 10-6. 12 minutes left to go in the third quarter. Chargers are on the Eagles side of the 50, 3rd and 2 for the Chargers. They are currently driving. So big game right now on ESPN. Major playoff implications for both the Eagles and the Chargers. But we begin in the NFL, in the NFC North, as it went down yesterday in Green Bay between the Chicago Bears and the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers beat the Chicago Bears 28-21 on Sunday afternoon in Lambeau in Green Bay for the Bears. Caleb Williams, he went 19-35. He threw for 186 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception for the Packers. Jordan Love, he went 17-25. He threw for 234 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. And with the win, the Packers, they take over first place in the NFC North and now are in second place overall in the NFC. So I am going to break this Bears-Packers segment down into 3 different segments. And one segment will be my football analysis of the Bears-Packers matchup. And the other segment will be comparing Caleb Williams and Jordan Love. And the other segment will be me trash-talking Bears fans, because all I heard coming into this matchup, Bears-Packers, was about how the Chicago Bears were the new kings of the NFC North. And how Ben Johnson is a better head coach than Matt LaFleur, and how the Bears have a better rushing attack than the Packers with Swift and Manumai, and how they are better than Josh Jacobs. And all I heard was about how dominant the Chicago Bears have been, considering they were on a 5-game winning streak. They had just beaten the Philadelphia Eagles, who are the defending Super Bowl champions, on Black Friday, and they pretty much dominated that game. And all I heard coming into this game was about how the Bears were the new kings of the NFC North, and how the Bears were better than the Green Bay Packers this year, and how now the division runs through the Windy City and Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson and the Chicago Bears. And Ben Johnson even had the nerve, the audacity to call out my head coach and Matt LaFleur in his introductory press conference when he got the Bears head coaching job. He had the nerve, the audacity to say how he enjoyed beating Matt LaFleur 2 times a year, because when he was the offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions, Ben Johnson was 3-0 against Matt LaFleur and the Green Bay Packers. But I think Ben Johnson forgot about who the hell Matt LaFleur is. Matt LaFleur, against the Chicago Bears, he's 12-1 6-0 at Soldier Field, 6-1 at Lambeau Field, and Matt LaFleur has been a great NFL head coach during his tenure with the Green Bay Packers. No, he hasn't won a Super Bowl yet, but Matt LaFleur is a great offensive mind, and he is a great play caller as an NFL head coach. And his name deserves to be in that conversation with the Kyle Shanahans of the world, the Sean McVays of the world, the Andy Reids of the world. Now, he doesn't have the Super Bowls like a Sean McVay or an Andy Reid or even a Sean Payton for that matter. But Matt LaFleur is a good NFL play caller who calls tremendous plays. And then Ben Johnson disrespected my head coach with his comments when he got the Bears head coaching job. So I know Matt LaFleur and the Green Bay Packers did not appreciate those comments. And the Green Bay Packers went out there and they shut Ben Johnson up, and they beat Ben Johnson and the Chicago Bears in their first matchup against one another. Matt LaFleur beat Ben Johnson in primetime in Lambeau Field in the Bears-Packers matchup. And not only did Matt LaFleur beat Ben Johnson, Jordan Love outplayed Caleb Williams. I keep hearing about how Caleb Williams is this generational talent at the quarterback position and how Caleb Williams is a franchise quarterback for the Chicago Bears. And Caleb Williams played great in the second half yesterday against the Packers. Played great. Jordan Love balled out in this game and had 3 touchdown passes and a tremendous touchdown dart to Bo Melton in the first half against the Bears. Then he threw 2 other touchdown passes to Christian Watson. Christian Watson's been balling for the Packers. He has 5 touchdowns in his last 4 games for the Green Bay Packers. So Christian Watson has been balling. But this is the thing about Jordan Love. This is nothing new when it comes to Jordan Love and his performances once we get into December and January football. Jordan Love in week 11 or later, this is his stats as a starter. He's 14-5. He completes 67% of his passes. His touchdown to interception ratio is 34-2, and his passer rating is 110.5. That passer rating and touchdown to interception ratio is the best all time. This was before the matchup against the Lions on Thanksgiving and against the Bears yesterday. So his numbers have increased. They've gotten better. And over the last 2 weeks, Jordan Love, 7 touchdowns, 1 interception, and there's this thing called Toyotathon. And Jordan Love, during Toyotathon, 36 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So to me, Jordan Love has proven to be a better quarterback and more trustworthy than Caleb Williams. And the thing is, when it comes to the Bears-Packers rivalry, Brett Favre was 23-13 against the Bears in his career while he was the quarterback of the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers was 24-5 against the Chicago Bears while he was quarterback of the Green Bay Packers. And with this latest win over the Bears, Jordan Love now is 4-1 against the Chicago Bears as quarterback of the Green Bay Packers. So, since 1992, the Packers have dominated this so-called rivalry, and the Packers are 51-16 against the Bears during that time span. They've won 10 out of the last 11 matchups against the Bears. So, don't tell me that this is a rivalry, because we have to actually see the Bears beat the Packers a few times before we can actually say this is a rivalry. Because since 1992, the Packers have dominated the Chicago Bears. So D-Wade, Mojo, Barack Obama, all those Bears fans, bear down and stay down and accept that this division still runs through Green Bay, and Jordan Love, Matt LaFleur, and the Green Bay Packers are still the kings of the NFC North. So I had to get that off my chest because I heard a lot of Bears fans who had a lot to say about this particular matchup. But when it comes to the actual game itself, I thought it was a tale of two halves. I thought the Packers dominated the Bears in the first half, and I thought the Bears had control of the game in the second half over the Packers. I thought in the first half, Jordan Love played great. He played great. He had the one bad interception in the first quarter, but he bounced back and had two great touchdowns that he threw in the first quarter, in the second quarter. He had a great throw to Bo Melton in the second quarter. That was a great pass. And then he threw two touchdowns the rest of the game. So I thought Jordan Love played great. Besides the one interception, he had two touchdowns in the first half, actually. And he had one touchdown to Christian Watson. That was the first touchdown that he threw off his back foot. And then he had the other touchdown to Bo Melton that he threw also off his back foot. You can tell Jordan Love learned a lot playing under Aaron Rodgers and, sitting behind Aaron Rodgers for 3 years. He learned a lot from Aaron Rodgers. And so I thought Jordan Love played sensational despite the one interception that he threw, two first half passing touchdowns, one touchdown in the second half. And I thought Josh Jacobs had a critical third down run on that Packers last possession. I thought the Bears had Jacobs dead to rights, and somehow Jacobs was able to squeeze through Bears defenders, was able to get a first down, nearly scored on that particular play. And I thought the Packers offense came through because I thought the Packers defense, they were tired in the second half. Give Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams and the Bears credit because in the second half, they wore the Packers defense down. They did. And specifically, Caleb Williams, before his interception in the second half against the Packers, Caleb, 13 for 20, 164 total yards, 2 passing touchdowns. His passer rating was 121.6 before that interception that ended the game. So I have to give the Bears credit for how they bounced back in the second half because the Packers were up 14-3 at halftime, and the Bears were already on a 5-game winning streak, and they have played well so far this season. They could have easily mailed it in the second half of that game because I thought the Packers were going to run away with the football game. I thought the Packers were going to win this game 31-10, but give Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams, and the Chicago Bears credit for coming back in the second half and fighting in the second half specifically and making this a game. When they tied it up at 21, I knew, okay, Jordan Love and the Packers offense has to win this football game, and they drove right down the field and got it done. But, man, I thought this was a great football game. It was a playoff type game, like when it comes to playoff field, the energy at Lambeau Field, it was so electric. Like I'm sitting here in Cincinnati in my small apartment, I could feel the energy here in Cincinnati and feel how energized Lambeau Field was and feel the atmosphere. It was cold, but man, was it a great football game between the Bears and the Packers. And it had a playoff feel. It really had a playoff feel. And this is the first time since like the early 2010s where the Bears and the Packers are both good football teams this late in the season. We've seen many years where the Packers, during the Aaron Rodgers era, they dominated the Bears, and Aaron Rodgers telling Bears fans he still owns them and stuff like that. But this is the first time where I actually watched a Bears-Packers game, and I sat there thinking to myself, oh, these dudes might actually be good. They might actually be real contenders in the NFC North and real contenders in the NFC. That was the first time in a very long time where I felt like the Bears actually could be a good football team. I thought yesterday that was a great loss. I think in the NFL, sometimes you have great losses or you have bad wins. I thought yesterday was a great loss for the Chicago Bears as a football team. And it was a great game overall. Real quick about the Packers, though. The Packers this year against the NFC North, they are 4-0. Last year they went 1-5. This year, and points per game differential, they are plus 11.3. Last year they were a minus 3.0 turnover differential. Last year they were minus 3 in the turnover differential department. This year they're at plus 4. So that was a big emphasis from that before the Packers coming into the season was to play better within the division, and the Packers have reeled off 4 straight wins, 3 straight wins within the NFC North against the Vikings, against the Lions, and now this week against the Bears, and they lead the NFC North as we head into week 15. And now the Packers are the 2nd seed in the NFC, and they have a shot to have the road to the Super Bowl go through Lambeau Field, but they still got to deal with the Rams, who are the number 1 seed in the NFC right now. Also, big credit to Jeff Hafley and the Packers defense. Coming into this game, the Bears had multiple explosive runs, 10 yards or more, in every game they had played this season, and they had 4.5 plays of 10 yards or more in the running game with explosive runs. So anything when it comes to 10 yards or more are considered explosive runs. The Bears had multiple explosive runs in every game they had played this year. They averaged 4.5 explosive runs per game. The Packers didn't allow 1 on 32 attempts. But they never had a play where it was 10 yards or more. The Bears' offense and the rushing attack was swift and monotonous. So big credit to Jeff Hafley and the Packers defense. Micah Parsons, Rashawn Gary, they were chasing Caleb Williams around all afternoon long. But man, this was a great football game. Packers only had 1 sack for the afternoon, but they did apply some pressure. Sometimes you gotta just let Micah Parsons, Rashawn Gary, let him loose, trying to get after Caleb. Caleb, to his credit, he made some sensational plays in the second half of this football game. He made 4 or 5 throws where it was like there's nothing you can do as a defense. That's just pure talent. So I give Caleb Williams credit in that aspect. Packers at Bears, week 16, Saturday night, Soldier Field. Another big-time matchup. But this is a great football game team. 2 good football teams. But, nevertheless, go, Packers, go. Packers get the dub 28-21 over the Bears. go to Cleveland and let's talk about Cam Ward versus Shedeur Sanders, as Cam Ward and the Tennessee Titans beat Shedeur Sanders and the Cleveland Browns 31-29 for the Titans. Cam Ward, he went 14 for 28. He threw for 117 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception for the Browns. Shedeur Sanders, 23 for 42. He threw for 364 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, and even ran a touchdown into the end zone as well. The Browns failed on a 2-point attempt. Shedeur Sanders was not on the field for that 2-point attempt. So, when it comes to Shedeur Sanders' performance yesterday against the Tennessee Titans, yesterday's performance from Shedeur Sanders validated everybody who has said that Shedeur Sanders should be the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns since the beginning of the season. And it also proved why it was absolutely insane for Shedeur Sanders to fall to the 5th round, because yesterday Shedeur outplayed Cam Ward. Shedeur Sanders outplayed Cam Ward yesterday, and it was not close. I'm looking at Shedeur Sanders yesterday. 4 total touchdowns, 393 total yards. He's the first rookie quarterback to throw for 300 yards this season. And there were throws in this particular game where Shedeur Sanders went above the X's and O's. And also why I said during the NFL draft, when the Browns decided to draft Dylan Gabriel ahead of Shedeur Sanders, I said that was a mistake. And I'm going to say it again. Shedeur Sanders was better than Dylan Gabriel in college, and Shedeur Sanders is a better pro quarterback than Dylan Gabriel currently is in the NFL. So to me, yesterday just validated what I've been saying and other Shedeur Sanders fans have been saying since the NFL draft. It was absolutely ridiculous that Shedeur Sanders fell to the 5th round of the NFL draft. And I thought yesterday he played sensational. And yesterday, Shedeur Sanders became the 2nd rookie quarterback to have 350 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, and 1 rushing touchdown. The only other rookie quarterback to accomplish that feat was Joe Burrow in 2020 against the Cleveland Browns, ironically. So Shedeur Sanders is in elite company with that feat. And I thought he played great yesterday. I know he had the 1 interception, but I thought he played great yesterday against the Tennessee Titans. And to me, Shedeur Sanders has not just been given, but he's earned the right to start for the rest of the season. That's why Kevin Stefanski came out earlier and said that Shedeur Sanders will be the starter for the Cleveland Browns the rest of the season. Because Shedeur earned that opportunity. It was not given to him. He earned that opportunity. And after yesterday's performance, if you're a Browns fan, you have to be sitting there thinking, we could have had this all season. Because the thing is, the Cleveland Browns, they're 3-10 this season. They are one of the worst teams in pro football. The only thing left for Browns fans to watch when it comes to the Cleveland Browns, it's not about wins and losses. It's about whether or not Shedeur Sanders can be your franchise quarterback moving forward after this season, and whether or not Myles Garrett dominates games and gets the sack record. That's it. That's the only thing that's going on left with the Cleveland Browns. Other than that, Browns fans have absolutely nothing to look forward to. But if you're a Browns fan watching that game yesterday, you got to think, damn, maybe Shedeur should have been starting for us at the beginning of the season, not Joe Flacco. Everybody knew coming into the season that Joe Flacco was not the franchise quarterback for the Browns beyond a few games this year. We knew Joe Flacco could stabilize the position for a few weeks, but Joe Flacco is well past his prime and on his way out of the NFL. Maybe he comes back next year as a backup to Joe Burrow with the Bengals. So, to me, if you're a Browns fan, you have to think about that. Now, when it comes to specifically Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski, I'm sitting there watching the Titans-Browns game, and I'm watching Shedeur have his best performance so far as a rookie quarterback in his rookie season. And for the game, Shedeur Sanders, he goes 23 for 42, 364 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. He also had 3 carries for 29 rushing yards, and he had a rushing touchdown in this game. The Browns, they scored a touchdown, and it's 31-29. And I'm thinking to myself, here's an opportunity for Shedeur to tie this game up. And I'm intrigued with seeing Cam Ward and Shedeur go at it in overtime. And all of a sudden, Kevin Stefanski pulls Shedeur Sanders off the field. And I'm thinking to myself, what the hell is he doing? Shedeur Sanders is having the best game of his rookie season and the best game in his young career. Why are you taking Shedeur Sanders off the field in that situation, Kevin? What the hell is going on here? Why are you taking Shedeur Sanders off the field? He's already had over 350 yards passing for the afternoon, over 25 rushing yards on the day, 1 rushing touchdown. Why the hell are you taking Shedeur Sanders off the field in a critical moment in the football game? And you run Wildcats, and the running back for the Browns, Quinshon Judkins, he doesn't. It looks like it was supposed to be a throwback to the opposite side of the field. It doesn't happen, and the Titans blow the 2-point attempt up. They blow it up, and I'm thinking, why the hell are you taking Shedeur Sanders off the field? Like, the only way you make this type of decision is that you know that you have job security. Because there's no way in hell that a coach who is desperate to keep his job makes this type of decision in that critical moment. Because I said it a few weeks ago. I said you would think that Kevin Stefanski would actually embrace Shedeur, considering his job could be on the line. His job could be on the line here. And you take Shedeur out in a critical moment. And I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. Kevin Stefanski does not want Shedeur Sanders to succeed in Cleveland. It is clear as day. It's clear. It's clear. What more evidence do we need to see that Stefanski does not care for Shedeur? He would have rather Dylan Gabriel remain the starter for the Browns. But what happened was he had to start Shedeur. He had no choice once Gabriel went out with his concussion. And then Shedeur came in, and there were things that Shedeur did that went above the X's and O's, and he had to keep Shedeur in as the starter. Make no mistake about it. If Shedeur would have had a terrible performance, he would not still be the quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. And I thought last week, even against the Niners, he wasn't horrible. He didn't play great, but he wasn't horrible. He played good against the Raiders. And I thought yesterday against the Titans, he played great for a rookie. But to me, I said it before, and I'm going to say it again. Kevin Stefanski does not want Shedeur Sanders to succeed and be successful at the quarterback position in Cleveland. That didn't make no sense to me whatsoever. And the thing is, they said that Shedeur Sanders, one of the reasons why Shedeur dropped in the NFL draft was because of all the outside noise. It's basically Shedeur has a big personality, and teams didn't want to deal with Shedeur's big personality. That's what they were talking about and basically saying, even though we all know it's okay for a Johnny Manziel who was on crack or Baker Mayfield to have a big personality, but if Shedeur Sanders has a big personality, it's an issue. But that's neither here nor there. They said how Shedeur Sanders, it's a lot of outside noise. Don't you think with this decision, with everybody, including myself, who's already saying that Stefanski has something against Sanders, wouldn't you think Kevin making the decision to take Shedeur out in a critical moment, don't you think the noise and people who believe that you have something against Shedeur, don't you think that that's going to ramp up and it's going to get louder now? They said that it was Shedeur who had a lot of outside noise coming into the NFL going on around him. Well, his head coach has also played a part in the outside noise getting even louder with this decision to take Shedeur out in a critical moment in the football game. Made absolutely no sense to me. Those are my thoughts. I thought Shedeur played great against the Titans, and he earned the right to be the Browns starting quarterback for the rest of the season. Let's go out to Buffalo. Let's talk about Joe Burrow versus Josh Allen. Bengals versus the Bills, as Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills beat Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals 39-34 for the Bengals. Joe Burrow, he went 25 for 36. He threw for 284 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. For the Bills, Josh Allen, he went 22 for 28. He threw for 251 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. And the Bills became the second team with multiple 10-point fourth quarter comebacks this season. So, as I watch Bengals, Bills, Joe Burrow versus Josh Allen, and I watched this matchup closely Sunday afternoon in the 1 o'clock window, my biggest takeaway from this game was how great Josh Allen performed in this football game. And the thing is, when it comes to Josh Allen, I'm looking at a Josh Allen who is literally carrying the Buffalo Bills organization right now. It reminds me of Allen Iverson back in the 2021 NBA season, a season in which AI won NBA MVP, and he led the Philadelphia 76ers all the way to the NBA Finals. Unfortunately, they ran into Kobe and Shaq. And the thing is with AI, though, he got the Sixers one game. The Sixers beat the Lakers game 1 of the NBA Finals, but Kobe and Shaq prevailed games 2 through 5. But AI literally carried the Philadelphia 76ers to the NBA Finals. That Sixers team, when it comes to a talent perspective, like as far as talent, that Sixers team was nowhere near as talented as the Lakers were with Kobe and Shaq. And it was literally AI by himself versus Kobe and Shaq. I fast forward to 2025, and I'm looking at the Buffalo Bills team. Josh Allen is carrying the Buffalo Bills the same way that AI carried the Philadelphia 76ers in the year 2000 in that season, because he's balling. He's balling yesterday against the Bengals. Josh Allen, 251 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, 78 rushing yards, 1 rushing touchdown, and Josh Allen is the first quarterback ever with 3 seasons of 20 passing touchdowns and 10 rushing touchdowns. So to me, Josh Allen is the best quarterback in pro football this year, and he is literally carrying the Buffalo Bills. And I'm looking at a Sean McDermott. He's the head coach of the Buffalo Bills. Sean McDermott, he's 102-56, which means he's won 65% of his games as Bills head coach. And the Bills under Sean McDermott have had multiple seasons where they've had multiple playoff appearances. And I think Sean McDermott is a great defensive mind. But Josh Allen saved Sean McDermott yesterday against the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bills defense, they had no answers for Joe Burrow and the Bengals offense yesterday. And this is not the first time where this has happened this year. Back in week 1, Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills offense, they had to save the day in that matchup as Ravens defense gave up 40 points to the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson. Let's go to week 11. Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers without Mike Evans. They put up 32 on Sean McDermott's defense. And yesterday, Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals had 34 points, and the Bengals added offense, 25 first downs, 276 passing yards, and 338 total yards for the game. So Sean McDermott's defense, a bad defense, and Sean McDermott, whose signature is defense, that Bills defense, they are not a good unit whatsoever. And so I saw yesterday, for the third time this season, where Josh Allen stayed Sean McDermott. And that's why, if you look at the Bills, they are the second team with multiple 10-point fourth quarter comebacks this season. So I'm looking at Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen is the most valuable player in the NFL. He's not going to win NFL MVP because Drake May and the Patriots have a better record right now than the Bills have. Matthew Stafford, from a stats standpoint, has better stats overall than Josh Allen. But Josh Allen is the most valuable player in the NFL. And not only yesterday proved to me that Josh Allen is the most valuable player in the NFL, can we please put to rest the Joe Burrow being better than Josh Allen take, please? Because there was a moment in time where I also said that Joe Burrow was better than Josh Allen. That was the year. It was the year after the Bengals went to the Super Bowl. Remember, the Bengals went to the Super Bowl, and the year after that, they got to the playoffs. And Joe Burrow outperformed Josh Allen in that playoff game between the Bengals and Bills. The Bengals, they rolled into Buffalo, and the Bengals dominated the Bills for 4 straight quarters, and Joe Burrow outplayed Josh Allen in prime time in a key playoff matchup. And so at that moment in time, I said that Joe Burrow was better than Josh Allen. But since then, Joe Burrow has missed the playoffs 3 straight years because the Bengals are not going to make the playoffs this year. They missed the playoffs 3 straight years in Cincinnati. Josh Allen has won an NFL MVP award, and Josh Allen has two second-team All-Pro selections in his career. Joe Burrow has no All-Pro selections so far in his career. And Josh Allen is doing more with less than what Joe Burrow is doing in Cincinnati. Joe Burrow has Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, 2 of the top 10 receivers in the NFL. Josh Allen is throwing the football to receivers who are 3rd or 4th receivers on other football teams. I mean, I'm looking at the Bills receiving corps. Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman. I mean, are you kidding me? The Bills receivers are below average receivers. And right now, Josh Allen has the Buffalo Bills sitting at 9-4, and they are top 3 in total yards. They average 399 yards per game. That's ranked 2nd in the NFL. They average 158 rushing yards per game. That's ranked 1st in the NFL. So this offense needs to continue to run through Josh Allen. He is the best player on this offense and the best player on this Bills football team, and it's not close right now. It's not close. And to me, he is the best quarterback in pro football. And the thing is, when it comes to Josh Allen, I know I just praised Josh Allen, but another thing when it comes to Josh Allen, he's looking more and more like Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and Joe Burrow all will be at home watching the NFL playoffs with the rest of us come January. So this is a perfect opportunity for Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills to get over the hump and finally reach a Super Bowl. It's now or never for Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. I'm looking at the landscape of the AFC right now. The number 1 and number 2 seeds in the AFC are the New England Patriots and the Denver Broncos. If it's a playoff game and it's Josh Allen versus Drake May, I'm rolling with Josh Allen. If it's a playoff game and it's Josh Allen versus Bo Nix, I'm rolling with Josh Allen. Okay? So I'm looking at the landscape of the entire AFC. Even though the Bills' defense has been a below average defense and they have struggled significantly this season, I still would pick Josh Allen in a playoff matchup against these other AFC quarterbacks who are currently in the playoff picture. If it's Josh Allen and Drake May, I'm taking Josh Allen. If it's Josh Allen and Bo Nix, I'm taking Josh Allen. If it's Josh Allen and Trevor Lawrence, I am taking Josh Allen. So this is the best opportunity for Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills to finally get over that hump and make the Super Bowl. They will not have a better opportunity than this current opportunity in place. And so I talked yesterday, two things were proven to me. That Josh Allen continues to save Sean McDermott, and now we can put to rest the Joe Burrow being better than Josh Allen conversation, because Josh Allen is a better quarterback than Joe Burrow currently is. And I love Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is a great quarterback, and he is one of the best quarterbacks in pro football. But Josh Allen, he's not as injury prone as Joe Burrow is. And there are things that Josh Allen can do where he goes above the X's and O's that Joe Burrow simply cannot do. And that's what separates the two quarterbacks for me. That play, I'm looking at the game in the fourth quarter. Josh Allen, it was a 40-yard touchdown run. Josh Allen scrambled left for 40 yards. Was second and 10 at the Bengals 40-yard line. Josh Allen pump fake, and he scores a touchdown for the Bills. Great play. Great play. And then on the final possession, the Bengals defense, they get the Bills offense in the perfect situation for the Bengals to possibly get the football back for Joe Burrow. The Bills are winning 39-34. It's 3rd and 15. 3rd and 15. And I'm thinking, wow, the Bills get the Bengals the football back. Joe Burrow and the Bengals are going to win this game. 3rd and 15. Josh Allen scampers for a 17-yard run. Bills run the clock out, win the football game. That's going above the X's and O's. And as great as Joe Burrow is, and Joe Burrow is a great quarterback. But in the fourth quarter, in this particular football game, there were 2 interceptions from Joe Burrow that were great defensive plays. They were great defensive plays and great and critical moments for the Bills. One of those plays were from Christian Benford. It was 20, I'm looking at the score, it was 28-25. And it looked like the Bengals were going to go ahead 35-25. And it's over 5 minutes left to go in the game. Burrow was trying to get the football out to the right to Jamar Chase. And Benford made a hell of a play. touchdown the other way for the Bills. Bills go up 32-28. And then on the following possession, the very first play from scrimmage, AJ Epinesa makes a great defensive play. But even though AJ Epinesa and Christian Benford made great defensive plays that were interceptions, if you are Joe Burrow, you cannot turn the football over at that moment in the football game. Joe Burrow gets paid a lot of money, and Joe Burrow had some demands for the Bengals organization in the offseason. He demanded for the Bengals to re-sign T. Higgins, which they did. He demanded for the Bengals to re-sign Trey Hendrickson, which they did. So if you're Joe Burrow, you got Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, two of the top 10 receivers in the NFL, and you have an elite offense, you cannot have those two interceptions in the fourth quarter, no matter what's going on in the football game. They were two great defensive plays by Benford and Epinesa, but you still cannot have those turnovers if you are Joe Burrow, because you get paid a lot of money. And the margin for error is very, very low for Joe Burrow. The margin for error is very, very low. But you get paid a lot of money to make critical plays in critical moments in football games. And I thought yesterday against the Buffalo Bills, Joe Burrow came up short in that department. Still a great quarterback, still a franchise quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals moving forward. But if the Bengals are going to compete and have a chance to possibly be a playoff team with the way that their team is currently constructed, Burrow cannot turn the ball over at key critical moments in the fourth quarter of these football games. But those are my thoughts on Bengals Bills. Great football game between two great quarterbacks. But Josh Allen, he's the most valuable quarterback and valuable player in the NFL right now. Let's transition to my weekly top / disappointing performer segment. Let's start off with the player who I felt like had the best performance from week 14. Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford. Stafford against the Arizona Cardinals. He goes 22 for 31, 281 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. The Rams hang 45 on the Arizona Cardinals. I thought Stafford played great. Remember, the prior week, Stafford had 3 turnovers in the week 13 loss against the Carolina Panthers. And he had a tremendous performance in week 14 against the Arizona Cardinals. And I think right now Stafford is leading the NFL MVP race right alongside Drake May. So he had the best player performance in week 14. The player who had the most disappointing performance in week 14, unfortunately for Chiefs fans, was Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes, he went 14 for 33, only 160 passing yards, 3 interceptions, a game that the Chiefs desperately needed. Patrick Mahomes struggled, had 3 costly interceptions in this game, and the Chiefs playoff hopes took a major hit. They're on a 2-game losing streak, and Patrick Mahomes, he pressed a lot in this matchup against the Texans. We know the Texans have an elite defense with DeMeco Ryans as their head coach and Matt Burke as their defensive coordinator, and they got after Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes had 3 interceptions. The Texans, they had 2 sacks on Mahomes, but he had the most disappointing performance from week 14. Now, the team who had the best performance from week 14, the Pittsburgh Steelers. I and other members in the media criticized Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers after their week 13 loss against the Buffalo Bills. And I said that Aaron Rodgers needed to retire, and it was time for Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers to part ways. And so the Steelers, they heard the noise. It was a lot of noise outside of the Steelers facility last week. And Mike Tomlin and Aaron Rodgers, they responded with a great win over a division foe in the Ravens. I thought Aaron Rodgers played well, 23 for 34, 284 passing yards, 1 touchdown. Very, very efficient game for Aaron Rodgers. And I thought the Steelers, they answered the call, winning this matchup. And now the Steelers lead the AFC North, and they improved to 7-6. And it's looking more and more like the Steelers are going to represent the AFC North and win the division and host a home playoff game in January. Because I thought this was a huge matchup with major playoff implications. And the Steelers answered the call, and they did a great job because they held Lamar in check as a defense. They did a great job. Lamar didn't even have 225 passing yards. So big shout out to Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, the team who I thought had the worst performance in week 14 were the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they came up short against the New Orleans Saints. The Saints beat the Buccaneers 24-20. The Saints were nothing to play for, and the Bucs, they allowed the Saints to have 16 first downs. The Saints had 139 rushing yards, 260 total yards for the game. I'm looking at Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers. They came into this game. They were 7-5 coming into this game. They were leading the NFC South, and it's a battle right now between the Panthers and the Buccaneers. I don't know who's going to win that division. And if you are a Panthers fan, you were ecstatic with this result yesterday. You were ecstatic because now the Panthers and the Buccaneers, they have 2 critical matchups in week 16 and in week 18. And that's going to determine who wins the NFC South. Very, very disappointing performance from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, losing to the New Orleans Saints 24-20 yesterday in Tampa. Let's talk about the Thursday night matchup on Amazon Prime Video. It's an NFC South battle between Kirk Cousins and the 4-9 Atlanta Falcons, traveling to Tampa to take on Baker Mayfield and the 76 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Buccaneers are favored by 4 points. It's an 8:15 p.m. kickoff. The over-under for this matchup is 44.5 points. So, as I look at this matchup in the NFC South, let's talk about the Falcons. The Falcons are 4-9. They have been eliminated from playoff contention. They've lost 2 straight games against the Jets in week 13 and against the Seahawks in week 14. And they have had a very disappointing season this year. We thought coming into the season that the Falcons would be a much better football team. I had the Falcons as a playoff team coming into the season. They had a big win against the Bills and Josh Allen back in week 6, but they have struggled ever since. And to me, they have not been able to be consistent as a football team. And when you look at their passing offense, they average 206 passing yards per game. That's ranked 18th in the NFL. But I do love their rushing attack with B.J. Robinson. B.J. Robinson, he is a great running back. He's one of the best running backs in pro football for the season. 215 carries, 1,081 rushing yards, 5 touchdowns for the season. And the Falcons, as a rush offense, they average 124 rushing yards per game, which is ranked 11th in the NFL. But they had Kirk Cousins now as their quarterback. He replaced Michael Penix, who's out for the season more than likely. And they had a very, very disappointing loss last week against the Seattle Seahawks. They got completely blitzed in that game. The Seahawks dominated the Falcons in that matchup. The Seahawks outscored the Falcons 31-3 in the second half. So it's been a very, very disappointing season for Raheem Morris, Kirk Cousins, and the Atlanta Falcons. Now, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the flip side, they are coming off of a very, very disappointing performance in week 14. They lost against the New Orleans Saints 24-20. The Buccaneers needed to win that game so they could stay ahead of the Carolina Panthers, who are on their heels. The Panthers, they are 7-6. So the Buccaneers, prior to their loss against the Saints, they had a 1-game lead over the Panthers in the NFC South. And the Saints had nothing to play for in week 14. And the Saints beat the Buccaneers 24-20, a game where Baker Mayfield only had 122 passing yards, 1 touchdown. Emeka Egbuka, only 2 receptions for 15 receiving yards. I mean, it was a very, very uncharacteristic performance from the Buccaneers as an offense. They had 122 passing yards. They did run the football very effectively. They had 179 rushing yards, 301 yards for the game. I thought Bucky Irvin and Rakai White both played pretty good, but that was a terrible performance from the Buccaneers. And the Bucs, they have some work to do. They got some work to do in the NFC South because they have two critical matchups against the Panthers in Week 16 and in Week 18. In Week 16, they are in Carolina. In Week 18, they are in Tampa in the season finale against the Panthers. Those two matchups against the Panthers, those matchups will determine who wins the NFC South. And now look at the Buccaneers overall in their last 5 games. They're 1-4. 1-4 in their last 5 games. So the Buccaneers, they got to get their act together if they want to win the NFC South. I expect Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to beat Kirk Cousins and the Atlanta Falcons Thursday night in Tampa. Baker Mayfield 27, Kirk Cousins 17. Big playoff game for the Buccaneers. I know it's technically not the playoffs, but this game has major playoff implications because if the Buccaneers fall to 7-7 and the Panthers win in Week 15, the Panthers will lead the NFC South. But I'm going to roll with the Bucs to beat the Falcons 27-24 in Tampa on Thursday Night Football.